that is great and maybe even world-class may not feel that way just based on the meta itself.
Now, No Tomorrow has only one victory remaining to be able to close out this series. Let's see where they chose to take us for game number 4. Infernal Shrines. Now, this definitely we can glean some things about the meta based on what we saw at the midseason brawl.
But is it going to stick around? Okay, you are correct that this is a map that we saw enough of that it should match the mid-season brawl. Do you think it's going to happen?
No.
I don't think so either. So as long as we got that out of the way, I just wanted to know if you held it in your heart that you're like, there may be the, oh, I don't think so. North America, we've shown out of phase number 1 for me, we don't care past the top 4 teams. It just, we're going to play Artanis. I talked about it over and over again. It was just like, you know, we'll run it when we want to run it. We think that they stick to the comforts.
Well, especially for these 2 teams that, again, it goes back to just they're still figuring themselves out as teams. So stick to the things that have been working for them in Scrim so far, things that are comfort picks that synergize well with their other teammates' comfort picks. That's what I expect and anticipate from this draft, especially seeing where the other drafts have gone so far. And I mean, it's worked out, especially for No Tomorrow at least.
Yeah, and you know, talking
Superstars has won 1 game.
One thing we also have to consider, we saw the ban in the last game. Do we see it actually in this game? And that is Kerrigan. Just come out. It's Infernal Shrines. Equinox got respect on Dragonshire of all maps. There's no way he doesn't pay respect to it here on Infernal Shrines, right?
I like that you asked me, like, right? As if there are absolutes, Dread. You can't trick me.
Not in North America. Here we go. It's going to be Infernal Shrines game 4 between No Tomorrow and Superstars. No Tomorrow, again, is 1 game away from finding themselves a win over Superstars. That is so huge.
Yes.
For No Tomorrows to be able to say that.
A team that only won 1 series in part 1 of phase 1, then tried their darndest to get out of Crucible range, and it came down to 1 series whether or not they were able to get out of it. So to start off phase 2 with a victory would be so awesome for these members.
Tassadar and Ariel, both off the table. Nubarak Uther are the first 2 thoughts when it comes to the first pick. This is a map where Abathur and Dahaka both gain a lot more respect. Global play is present, but not necessary, I think is the best way to approach the overarching meta of Infernal Shrines. I love me. I want the Uther all day.
Nice. Okay.
I'm sold on Uther flat out 100% all the time for this meta and especially into the next.
It also makes it maybe a little scarier for No Tomorrow to get Kerrigan if they want to have Kerrigan. There is no Divine Shield to enable Kerrigan, but there is still a possibility of maybe getting Tyrael to go along with her.
Yeah, that's a good point that you bring up there. If we see it, you could wait for the secondary ban phase. It's not highly contested enough to need to bust it out here.
Definitely.
In this rotation. So with that being said, Dahaka and Nubarak is a very good rotation here for No Tomorrow. I think the Anub, you can't let go. He's just too high impact, too objectively powerful. And then I do like the idea of Dahaka for the macro, but again, do you need it? Do you just go with the Malf, afraid of the support
choke? I think they'll get Malfurion.
Okay.
Judging on the draft of last game.
Into a map where it's viable.
Ooh. Still Malf, I bet. No, okay.
They're going to go with the Genji, though. Not the one I would have expected. Just because it ignores so much, again, into the map itself. He's so skirmish heavy. He doesn't necessarily thrive on shrines. He doesn't siege very well. Just all the weaknesses of No Tomorrow.
You know what he does,
Genji.
though?
What? He does throw shuriken.
He's got pizzazz.
Yeah. He goes. And that's enough for me to pick him in every game. You can even hear my shoes squeaking on the ground. That's how excited I was getting with that one. But the Gul'dan Dahaka macro play coming out from Superstars, there's been a surprising amount of Gul'dan here. Focus on to the wave clear.
I agree, but between these 2 teams, I'm not totally surprised.
Yeah, I get it. That makes a lot of sense.
I will be surprised, I guess, going forward with every other team.
Completely agree. Completely agree. Varian hasn't shown himself in a while, but he is at least being considered here on the side of No Tomorrow for their draft. That would be Fear of the Medivh later on. A Medivh and a Varian rotation would be very high impact for Superstars. You can see them debating, is the Varian the problem or the Medivh? Promise you, Medivh is the problem in that math problem. And they go with it. They rid that of Superstars.
Do you think this shows that No Tomorrow wants to get more heroes that can allow them to burst someone down quickly?
Yeah, I think that, well, does it show that? It's cause or effect. It is the effect, whereas you're viewing it as the cause, right? And I'm not saying that you're right or wrong. Is that it's just how my brain interprets that, is that by banning the Medivh, I'm afraid of Gul'dan's sustained DPS on a map like Infernal Shrines with the Haka and another follow-up CC directly after for sustained portal play everywhere. So then I go into banning the Medivh because I'm afraid of that, and the effect is I can now move into hyper initiation, hyper blow up with what I've drafted already, rather than the other way around, right? It's just, again, that's more my interpretation than it is an actual science of drafting.
Well, Uther pickup and then Malfurion ban, I think, has been the science of supports.
You are correct.
Or not even Infernal Shrines, but just Heroes of the Storm meta so far. So now we know Tiger JK will play a different support. Rhaegar is a possibility. He has some good shrine clear because of his lightning bond talent.
I would really enjoy something like a Li Ming Greymane here specifically would be actually amazing. Greymane double reset opportunity if you want to, but more importantly, threat onto the shrine itself. Hyper aggression with Genji. You can focus on the initiation on one target.
I think with Jason, it's more likely to be a Greymane.
Rhaegar.
There's Rhaegar. Or a Tychus.
The reason I didn't want the Tychus, he was my backup, is because it's not that Tychus isn't necessarily that great, but he doesn't do too much on the shrine compared to that of Greymane. Greymane is more universally, in my opinion, just a better hero than Tychus is currently. But he has all the same strengths, but they aren't as severe, which is why the Tychus just seems a bit toning down here for the draft of No Tomorrow, because it is still very reasonable for Superstars to go, well, we wanted the Greymane, and just pick it up themselves.
It does allow Jason to be tanky. He can use Odin to siege along with the Punisher. There is the Varian, and there you go.
Varian no matter what, even with the Tychus displayed here. So what's left? If you are No Tomorrow, you got to pick another frontliner, somebody to help out with the Anubarak. Arthas isn't a terrible pick, but would be very, very vulnerable to a lot of what your opponent has going for you, so you need to make sure you're successful onto the shrine itself. Falstad is the one I think we're going to see, just as a way to be able to match the global on the side of Superstars, and just taking Anubarak and Genji as the effective frontline. They're just going to transition towards a safer play.
You really think they won't get another tank here or a melee?
I want them to.
With Equinox?
I guess when looking at that specifically, you're right. It's probably more likely that they go into it. I think it's the most optimal route, but again, we stick with comforts, and I've seen weirder things than a false head in this rotation.
No, I think it'll definitely be melee, but I was wondering if it would be her.
All right. Not the one, you know, I brought it up at the beginning of the draft. I don't even think about her again up until she's locked in at the end. Ha.
Equinox Kerrigan is reborn. It is back.
Tychus over Greymane makes a lot more sense now. So we were like, you know, why Greymane strengths not as severe, except for one, the one he beats him in, which is Odin in siege potential on the actual objective. That can be argued otherwise. In terms of raw damage output onto objectives, the circumstances of which Odin will get the damage output there, almost 100%. For Greymane, it's less likely. He can put out just as much, but it's usually less reliable, and that's why you go with the Tychus to play it safe. Kerrigan, she gets shrine control. She gets the early game, she gets the Punisher, Odin, and then the Punisher's actually useful, is really kind of the thought process. It's Sylve used to be kind of that same thing, but Sylve struggles in team fighting so much that she's essentially irrelevant in the meta.
You also know that No Tomorrow has to focus a lot of their sustainability, their heals, ancestral healing on Kerrigan too. So the hope is that Tychus can stay safe, especially once he's in Odin. Can No Tomorrow close out the series and get a victory over Superstars? We find out right now.
Oh, baby. In the blue, Tiger JK once again is going to be on the Rhaegar. Jason is on Tychus. Casanova on Anubarak. And Equinox on Kerrigan. I always forget talking trees. Genji.
Poor trees.
Because I actually just dislike the guy. Or I can't count.
I was being nicer to you. Srey playing Gul'dan, Hosty on Greymane, Yoda playing Dahaka, Iacona on Uther, and finally playing Varian as Erho, the new roster of superstars.
Dash is already pinged up for Tychus at level 1, so we see some influence from the rest of the world here. The fact that we almost saw none of that from North America in phase number 1. It's going to be picked up on a lot of globe maps, on some of the smaller maps, just to focus on making sure you get the increased range faster.
Respect.
Respect.
For the Kerrigan. For Equinox's Kerrigan. Banned 1 game. Now here. And the members of Superstars sitting behind their gates. They want nothing to do with that Kerrigan rotation, the Kerrigan ganks.
You can hear it, man. The noise, the doo-doo, like in the background, it's just picking up. Tread lightly here, young Yoda. Not this lane. Wait, is it the next wave? You know what? Given enough time, eventually this gank will work. That's what I've learned in the world.
I believe.
Given enough sample size, eventually it's going to happen.
I like the setup that Superstars have put themselves in against that Greymane, or that Kerrigan. The fact that they have Erho to help Srey in mid, and he has his self-healing, and then you have Uther with Greymane in the bottom lane, and then it's Dahaka up top. Yoda should be counted on to be safe.
If your opponent's strategy is to definitely get ganks in the laning phase, make your lanes as least likely gankable as possible, right? Like, this is essentially Dragonshiring your map without it being Dragonshire. Dragonshire, the structure and approach to the map is intentionally that way because it's the most optimal. But No Tomorrow hasn't drafted in, the combo. Wow, I thought for sure once he missed that, but nice auto drop for Yoda when he ended up going for that burrow to keep himself up. But it's just essentially forcing that exact same problem. Zeratul, you have to gank Yoda, and that is not the guy you want to gank.
No, and there are so many members of No Tomorrow up top for so long trying to get that gank that Superstars even sent Gul'dan down to the bottom to siege along with Iacona and Hosty. This is really well done at the beginning.
I like it, but they've got to keep it up. It's going to start here with the leapfrog. The pressure through bottom is real on the side of Superstars. They aren't committing more. I expected a 3 or a 4-man rotation, but they are going to do it a couple of seconds too late. Jason is there. There's the interrupt, so nobody to stop his Q. He lays it down, but the damage, Jason actually gets turned on there. It is now 1-for-1.
That corruption was so frustrating its position because Jason in the small wall was just like, I can only move backwards from here. Just took the full corruption, poison damage. Great kill for Superstars, but they do lose Greymane. Meanwhile, in mid lane, Equinox and the Punisher have been picked up. Sure. Being very mean to Varian.
Yoda is questioning if he wants to do anything here. Looks like he's going to play it out safer. Man, that was a interesting just entire Punisher phase. Not what we normally see here, but it's one that needs to happen for Superstars. Whenever Kerrigan exists on Infernal Shrines, in case anybody's wondering why is Kerrigan so meta on this map, is because she can solo threaten the shrine itself, on top of the fact she accents the Punisher and when it leaps over walls. She's got a lot of cool things going for her, but that's why you don't want to move to a shrine into her and fail, because she immediately goes, okay, I'm taking this entire thing and we're going to now open up this entire map. Superstars' best bet: forfeit the first 2 shrines, side soak and pressure out onto the side lanes, and then just hope that you keep up in the macro sense, and then you win, because Kerrigan has such a poor late game team fighting. She's one combo and you're like, that's all she's got. She's useless.
Well, the nice thing for Superstars is they know that the next shrine can't be mid because it was there, so they should theoretically, hopefully for them, be able to push a lane harder in the next one. But Erho, unfortunately for Superstars, is caught between all of the members of No Tomorrow who came in for that gank.
It was a bit unfortunate there. Found himself on the wrong side of the battlefield. Maybe Yoda will too. Combo juked. You know, I'm just going to essentially let No Tomorrow know that you can't kill Yoda. I don't think he's died to a gank yet. I might be wrong, but it just feels like every single time they go to his lane, it's like he's just a rock up there.
When you're able to kill a Varian who has shield wall before you can kill a Dahaka, you should just know you're not killing that Dahaka.
Yeah, shout out to Yoda's level play. That's a good point, you know? Shield wall Varian, in fact, is easier to kill than Yoda's Dahaka. We found out today here. Another altar phase is going to join us on Infernal Shrines.
That shrine is bottom, and No Tomorrow have their bruisers up in the top lane. They haven't sent Kerrigan to the shrine at all yet. Instead, a Stray has been found.
A Saray's been found, but the counter damage is going to be there. That's a 1-for-1. Kerrigan offline. Tiger JK, he goes down. Gilly, that was absolutely worst case scenario for No Tomorrow. Because when you have this type of composition, you want as much shrine control with the Kerrigan pre-10 as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But because of the slow play Superstars provided during Altar 1, the slow play they provided here in number 2, and the rotation and commitment towards that kill up on top, now the 10 mark is going to be here, and Superstars will be 10. The reason you want it pre-10 is that counter momentum in fights to counter the actual initiation Kerrigan provides. When you give everybody else an amazing spell called their Heroic, it typically just goes from like a power level 100 to 50 really fast. Just splits it right down in half.
Well, the best thing for No Tomorrow is that they did have that 10 far enough in advance that they still have a lead in the Skeletal Defenders by Heroic. So now here, Cursed Bullet, you can hear it was thrown out.
They're waiting patiently off on the side, trying to figure out what Equinox can go into, what combo he wants to open up with. The leapfrog's there. 37, 38,
oh
the
my.
drag.
Cleanse, even 2, Maelstrom out, Cocoon busted down behind them, but Dahaka goes down, Horrify.
The Horrify is there, but it's, again, too little too late. Sray is going to try and move his happy fell legs along. He does get away, though. And now the members of No Tomorrow are going to join their Punisher. Odin is already online. And sieging up the taunt. Casanova doesn't die to the flask either. Can somebody explain to me how Rhaegar's the one split post soaking? I was wondering, why is this not adding up to my brain? Like, why is No Tomorrow not just blowing everyone up and just fighting, battling? They have a man up. We saw Gul'dan had to back. The Punisher is at the fort, and you've got a Kerrigan composition. And I'm like, why are they not turning this up to 11? And I figured it out. Rhaegar was not to be anywhere to be found. We found it, Gilly. Got the answer here.
Well, even with that, No Tomorrow still took out a fort bottom. They are trying to paint the battleground blue. They have a level lead, and they can hope that they can use that lead to always have an advantage in the next couple of shrines.
Yeah, they can. You can see they're trying to abuse it. They're invading with the Kerrigan. They know that they have such an early game threat. Yoda, can you 1 versus 5? I'm going to put down money. I'm going to say, yeah. If they were going to leap that combo, I have money Yoda survives. We'll never know.
No Tomorrow feels the same.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's Dahaka. Again.
No, not Yoda.
Anybody else, even give us parry, Varian, shield wall.
Yoda. Went race car. Combo gun as a deterrent. 13's almost there for No Tomorrow. You can see that's what they're waiting for now, as they very much want that 13 tier window. Does anybody get anything too awesome? Genji hits a pretty big spike. Rhaegar's build doesn't have too big of one.
Viscerate, probably, for Kerrigan.
I don't see nothing, no strong indicators. The only one that would stand out to me would be Neosteel coding on Tychus into certain matchups. That was, yeah, the fact that you can have the isolated single target damage coming up from the 13 talent tier of Genji is something I expect to come online, but that's the biggest power spike out of any hero.
What is Rhaegar considering? Earth Shields?
Wow.
Oh, okay.
He's going with
Tidal Waves?
Or Tidal Waves, yeah. Gonna go for the multi-heal. Tidal Waves I like a lot, but typically you see it with the Spirit Walker's Grace.
Right.
We talk about the level 4 synergy. I do like it the most whenever you don't have an Illidan hyper carry or some single target hyper carry. Kerrigan doesn't work very well with, you know, Earth Shield. It's not bad, but it's not great. It just comes down to, like, is she the must-have keep alive hero for this composition to work? They disagree.
Another shrine. Another shrine where Kerrigan is maintaining control of the Skeletal Defenders. Superstars hoping that maybe they can get a kill. Off to the side, they find Casanova. Ancestral healing pretty early on, but Trees in the backline with Dragon Blade starting to melt the health bars of Superstars. Equinox goes right back to the Skeletal Defenders. You guys got this? Okay, I'm gonna go do my job now.
Yeah, but that was Cocoon, Ancestral, and Dragon Blade all used on the side of No Tomorrow. Horrify was dropped for Superstars, but they have Divine Shield, Taunt, and Curse Bullet. Those are very short and high impact spells. They go in. First is going to be on to Tiger JK. The Punisher's looking to join in. Man, he's going to get an all-oop here in a couple seconds if they keep the Fog of War. Urho, I'm sorry, but your time is now. Iacona too?
It's just Airho. Divine Shield used on Iacona. Maelstrom still there. Equinox leaps forward, getting 1 kill so far. Superstars must forfeit the 4.
They're going to have to forfeit more than that, Gilly. I mean, if they don't find a way to stop the momentum in this game specifically, they're going to have to forfeit this series because No Tomorrow is looking like this is very much going to be their win here, 3-1. Can they lock it in? This keep is possible. If they just posture around, Kerrigan noped out, so you don't want the keep. So what do you want then?
There's no Odin either. 16.
It's just, there
Final
we go.
4.
There we go. Okay, so they do want the 16. But if you know your opponent is top, like when you have the Punisher alive and you have the vision of them, when you're rotating out, you don't go, well, I just wanted to soak the lanes. You could have done that 20 seconds later. They need to force a fort, which we see standing for a fraction of HP. Kerrigan's body language was like, I'm worried about the minions, not about the fort itself. That was why I was like, this doesn't add up here. But they recovered. No Tomorrow was just, it was mainly one weird rotation out of Kerrigan. Everybody else moves through fort. They obviously didn't take it down, but Trees here, the real MVP. He's going to go ahead.
And it's down.
Oh, man. Oh, we did it. Mission complete. Fort's dead.
Yep, all fort's gone, which means the next shrine, if No Tomorrow can claim it, still guarantees some keep pressure.
16 is here for No Tomorrow. Superstars is going to have it, though, before the next shrine. They just got to win a fight. It's at the breaking point. This is the 16 threshold is when I look at the Kerrigan fight and I go, you don't have an advantage over me anymore. You have 5 heroes and I have 5 heroes and we're going to battle, fight to the death. You know, if anything, I would say it's the opposite.
Oh, Jason.
Got him. Is that the point where you go, and it's down right there? You just dropped the Gilly quote? Because I think he died. He actually did die faster than that fort did. You don't see any lone members of Superstars dragging it out, walking by and throwing out the shuriken to seal the deal 45 seconds.
This was more like a, I'm sorry, my friend. I am sorry.
He's down and out.
16's pretty big for Superstars, getting Tunneling Claws, Executioner, especially there too. But, of course, with Corruption build, you really want to get Ruinous Affliction, although this is like the new and improved Corruption build where you still get Hunger for Power. You don't get Bound by Shadow to reduce the cooldown, so we're only about halfway through the level 1 Corruption stacks for Gul'dan, so he's still got a ways to go before he can get Echoed Corruption to go back and deal the second amount of damage.
Do you remember the one time Faye almost provided my theory crafting crazy Gul'dan build? Can you explain to me how when I hit you with the conspiracy theory of like, I think this is a new weird hybrid of the two, that they got the only variation of those talents that I didn't choose as that build to be the new standard for Gul'dan?
I know.
I got bodied.
I don't know.
I've never gotten so wrecked like this hard in my entire life.
Oh, Curse Bullet, Taunt, Casanova in trouble.
Ancestral is there. It was a nice save.
It
22
was.
to 24.
It's just scary because you know that you would love to have that for Kerrigan, but Superstars have done so well at trying to force that. Now Casanova finds himself low again. Divine Shield on Greymane. It's go time for Hosty, or not.
Or not, and wow, Sray's actually staying alive. Hosty ends up going down. Equinox is cleaning shop right now. He's getting the resets on the Q, one after the other. He's going to heal himself up 10% a tick. Oh. And look at that. He goes from mid all the way up on the top. He's going to take him out, and now that is a 5-0 White.
Once again, No Tomorrow able to team wipe Superstars, and they will head directly to top lane to take out this keep.
That's it. That should be game. This should be the series even with that. Busting out the old school Equinox Kerrigan is in fact going to be No Tomorrow. Well fought, in my opinion. That was not what I expected going into this series. I did not think that that would be No Tomorrow just 3-1ing in confident manner. It feels like Superstars.
I will be honest, I did not know what to expect.
With Yoda. Yoda was the one thing where I was just, you know, I came in and I was just like, the impact that he's going to have. And what that, man. It's just, when seeing him come over to the roster, I was like, immediately, this guy is just going to carry the squad, is how I viewed it. Mainly after midseason brawl. I looked at it and it was just like, he is way too high impact on his own. He will be able to do that. But the fact that No Tomorrow comes out with a Kerrigan on Equinox and going from Gale Force, it's not like Equinox's performance comparative to Yoda. You know, you see that trade over, you go, well, that's a big win. And No Tomorrow was one of the most questionable teams in all of Phase 1. So that doesn't add up to this beautiful concoction of No Tomorrow, the new prophets of North America. But that was very crisp.
Yeah, the biggest question for me for No Tomorrow was Casanova switching to Warrior, because honestly Equinox has been so comfortable for so long on melees that it might not be immediate that he is back to his full form on melees, but he's joining back up with an ex-teammate talking trees, so already they sort of have that synergy between the two of them. Obviously it'll be a little bit of time while the team gets used to his shot calling possibility. That's a possibility of that, but the biggest thing for me was, how does Casanova do? And Casanova had this whole time to get used to playing Warrior. And we can actually just ask him how he feels on Warrior, because we have Casanova here from No Tomorrow. Hey, Casa, congratulations. 3-1 victory over Superstars. Did you guys expect it to be that way?
Yeah, we did expect to win this matchup. I think we honestly expected the games to be a little bit cleaner from us. I think we can probably do a lot better than that. I think, like, they actually drafted really well. Like, I think we did get, I don't know if we got outdrafted, but we didn't put ourselves in a position that it was easy to win. We definitely had to, like, work really hard and win some, like, clutch team fights. So yeah, I did expect to win. I'm a little disappointed with our total performance overall, though.
Well, talk to us about your switch to being the Warrior player. How has that been for you, and where do you feel like you are in the Warrior role when you look at the other Warriors of North America?
I think, like, for how little practice I have on the role so far, I think I'm doing a pretty good job, but I don't think I'm anywhere near, like, my peak at what I can be on this role. And I do think, like, by the end of the season, I'm going to be definitely a player to look out for. I feel like even today's set, like, I'm not entirely happy with my performance. I think I did all right, but there's a lot I can improve on.
That's really awesome to be able to hear that from you, you know, and you also have a new major change, obviously, with Equinox. What does that provide to your guys' team dynamic? Like, what is the major selling point, I guess, that you guys feel like with him on this roster that it's brought to your guys' team?
So, like, we picked up Equinox for, like, shot calling and drafting. That's why I was really happy to, like, give up my role. Like, usually I wouldn't want to give up my role to just, like, any player, but Equinox brings a lot for shot calling that I feel like we were missing all of last split. So I think that's, like, the major thing with Equinox.
Awesome. That's nice to hear. Thank you.
Well, Casanova, you guys are back from the Crucible, fresh in standings now. You've got your first victory even within the standings. What is the team's goal for Phase 2?
We want to compete internationally, and I know going from Crucible to international is going to be, like, that's going to be difficult. So we're really just working really hard, trying to improve every day and just focusing on that. We want to make it to the Clash. We want to make it to BlizzCon. So
awesome. Well, good luck to you for that. Congratulations again. Any shout-outs before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to, of course, shout out my whole team because they played really well today. We were able to get our win like we wanted. Shout-outs to our manager, Chrissy, our coach, Zeus. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks.
Thank you. Good luck versus Freedom tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
No Tomorrow, our first victor. We found out a little bit about North America meta compared to the mid-season Brawl meta, although I really feel like it's going to be team by team.
Yeah,